Boom! We are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the Nolan Hawkeye Anthony YouTube channel. And I thank all of you for being here, wherever you may be. And of course, however you may be listening. Well, folks, the Iowa Hawkeyes are officially Big Ten West champs. I've discussed in the past how some fans, when we lose to teams like Penn State and Michigan and Ohio State, the likes of the Blue Bloods, that they will commonly say, well, it's good because, why would we want to play them again and get smoked in the Big Ten championship game? And I always say that is such cope. It is such cope because all fans want Iowa to play in the Big Ten championship game. I mean, come on. And even if we know that there's a good chance they're not going to prevail, it's a good stage to be on for your team. It's just beneficial all the way around. Even if you do lose poorly, some of you guys will be wondering why I did not go live with this for today, and I'm kind of thinking about it moving forward, kind of how to orchestrate this channel live, to tell you the truth, because I do want to remain fully transparent with you guys, fully transparent. On one hand, I really do enjoy reading the comments and communicating with fellow Iowa fans. But on the other, live is mostly used by YouTubers to receive super chats and things like that. And although the live has definitely produced that, the bottom line is if you want to donate to the channel, you live or no live, you can do that by just, doing so through PayPal, Cash App, and things like that. But the other thing is that specifically for this video, there were some topics that I wanted to discuss without having to go to the comment section. And in particular, I would say that it's about Brian Ferentz. By the way, guys, this is the post-game show for the Iowa versus Illinois game. So in light of, and I think that this was most commonly the case after the Rutgers game where Iowa scored 20 points, there were a lot of fans who I think got a little overexcited. And I was being asked, and this is a perfectly valid question, okay? This is not me poo-pooing the question or anything like that. This is a perfectly valid question. In light of Iowa winning and making it to the Big Ten championship game, of course, last week that was not necessarily the case, albeit still likely, and the offense seemingly improving, how can Iowa get rid of Brian Ferentz? And the thing is multiple points. Number one, he is already gone. It's already done. He's gone. Okay. The decision has been made. They are not going to revert. They have made it public. It's done. Okay. He's gone next year. And quite frankly, I'm sure that there's a little bit, I don't think Brian would admit this publicly, and I probably wouldn't either, but there's probably a little bit of relief for him because either A, he believes that he can be a good offensive coordinator, but it just can't be at Iowa because of Kirk Ferentz and kind of how he orchestrates the team and how the game is managed and the style of football that Iowa plays. Or B, he does not believe he can be a good offensive coordinator and he's better suited at a different position. And either way, him being done at Iowa I would imagine is partly relief, because either one, when he goes somewhere else, will benefit him, and he'll be able, in theory, to spread his wings or coach the position that he thinks he's more suited to coaching and things like that. But when I was asked that question, I said, well, hold on, guys, hold on. Just because Iowa scored 20 points does not mean that they're going to score 20 plus points against Illinois or Nebraska. And sure as you know what, I was correct. Iowa scored 15 points against Illinois, 15-13 victory. And here we are. Now, I will admit that the offense at times did seem slightly better. But the point is, guys, is we are 11 games into the year, okay? 11 games into the year. If the Iowa offense has not improved like tremendously by now, because, you know, Kirk Ferentz in his argument to keep Brian Ferentz was, well, we'll get better. We're moving towards getting better. We're improving. If you take that vantage point, well, then if you're improving so much by this point in the year, it should be much better. And I wouldn't say it's worse, but it's not much better. It's slightly better at times. Now, I don't want to cloud this video with a ton of Brian Ferentz talk. The bottom line is Iowa is going to the Big Ten championship game, and you better believe your boy is pumped about it. It's an excellent accomplishment. Like I said, I don't want to talk too much about Brian Ferentz because it's still an excellent accomplishment. And, you know, Kirk Ferentz, you know, when he finally retires, and maybe even before that, I'm going to do a video on the eras of Kirk Ferentz as head coach at Iowa, because it's really interesting. I mean, the guy has been at Iowa for so long that there's multiple versions of the teams that he has coached. And I think at this point, he really knows what works and what doesn't, in at least for the most part, for him and at Iowa currently. And I think he's perfectly fine winning the way that Iowa wins. And it really is unbelievable. There was the stat that was pulled up. There was the stat that was pulled up in Iowa's game versus Rutgers that Iowa is the first team to win 7 or more games, averaging less than 20 points a game. The first team since LSU to do so, I think, in 1985. It could have been 1985 or 1995. I know it's a big difference, but so it is, you know, in its own way, very impressive. But as I always say, guys, Iowa wins in spite of the offense, which to me is not a compliment at all. It's a compliment for the defense, but for the team as a whole, I don't really see it as a compliment. This defense, this Iowa defense, is going to go down during the Kirk Ferentz era as one of the best units he's ever had. If we go back to some of the 10-win teams, which I think if you're Iowa, that is the goal, is to be a 10-win regular season team. That should be the goal. Okay. It's within grasp. And to be honest, Iowa, regardless of what you think about the invalid catch, Iowa really should be 10-1 right now. If you look at past 10+ win Kirk Ferentz teams, I would say 9+ win Kirk Ferentz teams, but definitely the 10+ win. I would say most of them, besides the last 5-6 years, have been very balanced teams. You know, Nate Stanley, when he was quarterback, it was a much better offensive statistical team than what we see now. When CJ Beathard was the quarterback, it was way more balanced. The defense back then was good, but nowhere near how good Phil Parker has gotten his defenses the last 5 years. Okay. I mean, what we are seeing with this Iowa Hawkeye offense defense, not offense, defense is historic. And the thing is that last year it was the defense and special teams that was truly elite. This year, it's the defense that has taken even one more step forward from last year's defense. And the special teams has taken a step back, and of course, the offense. The special teams is good, but it's not as good. It's not elite like it was last year. Drew Stevens has definitely had his issues this year. Iowa has not had while Cooper DeJean is, aka Cooper DeJean, is a formidable return man. It's nowhere. I would not say DeJean is on the same level as an Amir Smith-Marset, Riley McCarron. I mean, some of the other guys that we've seen in the past that have been excellent return men for the Iowa Hawkeyes. I mean, Iowa was on a run there where they had multiple specialists of the year or return man of the year on their squad. All right, so let's take a look at the stats here. Like I said, Iowa wins 15-13. Congrats. Man, guys, regardless of the offense, we really do need to take in because, at the end of the day, regardless of the offense, they still are a 9-win team, okay? And even though they win as ugly as can be, and even though being an Iowa fan, as I always say, is one of the most brutal, they're a good, solid football program, but it really is one of the toughest programs to root for at present moment. But it still is a hell of an accomplishment. And, that's all I got to say is just, this is awesome. Your boy was right. I said Iowa was going to be a Big Ten West champion this year. Got him. Guys, you have to admit, I've been pretty spot on with most of my predictions involving Iowa basketball and Iowa football. I just got to say, okay. Let's look at the stats here. John Paddock definitely is an interesting quarterback. It's going to be, I don't know what year he's in. I want to see what year he's in. Because next year he might cause problems. He might cause some problems. Let's see. Quarterback John Paddock to start versus Illini or for Illini. Illinois will start. It doesn't say. Let's just go to Illinois. John Paddock, Illinois. Yeah, because he's definitely been an interesting. He's a senior. So I don't know if he, because he's a senior doesn't mean that he doesn't have a COVID year left. So, and to tell you the truth, guys, I don't really care to look into it that much. But, if he did come back, it may be interesting. John Paddock, 22 of 47, 215 yards. Reggie Love, 64 yards, 3.6 yards per carry. Isaiah Williams, 8 reception for 105 yards. He had that big gainer that resulted in a field goal. When you think about the game, guys, and on Facebook, I said this. Thank goodness the missed extra point did not cost Iowa the game, because it very well could have. But the difference in the game, of course, came from the defense in their safety. I'm not sure where Iowa is going to get the takeaways from with Cooper DeJean being out. I would not say that this is the best takeaway team that we've seen in the Phil Parker era. It's still a good takeaway team, still better than most, but it's not on par. I mean, there were some teams that Phil Parker had in the past that was like tops in the country at takeaways. Okay. Let's see. KC Washington, 8 receptions, 58 yards. And then, of course, here are their defensive stats. Iowa, Deacon Hill, 19-29, 167 yards, 1 TD. He is making progress, guys. It's baby steps, but the last 2-3 games, Deacon has been more accurate, and his yard total has been up. So, I want to give credit where credit is due. LaShawn Williams, 16 carries, 54 yards. Caleb Johnson, 10 carries for 53 yards. 5.3 yards per carry. Definitely huge play at the end with the game-winning touchdown, Caleb Johnson. Now, he did have a massive hole the size of the Great Sea, but Josiah Patterson, 4 carries, 11 yards. Caleb Brown, man, guys, again, could I have been more spot on? I told you guys in the wide receiver preview, in the offensive preview, in the Iowa football team preview, that Caleb Brown, due to Iowa being Iowa, would not see the field a lot early on, but towards the end, he would be a one, if not somebody who played a lot for this Iowa Hawkeye team and saw meaningful snaps. Now, Deontay Vines is out with an injury, okay? And that's opened up the door for Caleb Brown. But there were some times where there were walk-ons and other guys that were even still in front of Caleb Brown for this Iowa Hawkeye offense. But this is Iowa being Iowa. And he's definitely looking good, guys. He's looking good. And I can't wait to see, unfortunately, Iowa's offense is Iowa's offense, but it's going to be interesting to see what kind of player he develops into. Caleb Brown, 7 receptions, 71 yards, 10 yards a catch. Nico Reganey, a.k.a. Nico Ragaini, a.k.a. Nico Ragaani, 5 receptions, 46 yards. Seth Anderson, 2 for 26. And Addison Ostrenga, 5 for 24. Addison is definitely a possession tight end. You're not going to see the George Kittle yak or beating them over the top like we'd see from Luke Lachey and not yet anyways. Okay. He's still very young, or Eric All. And then here are the defensive stats for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Troy Taylor had a pretty good day, 51.6 yards per kick, total yards 281 to 280. It was a tale of two halves. Iowa definitely was the better offensive team in the first half. Illinois, from I would say late second on, became the better offensive team. And Iowa's offense definitely spurned out. Passing yards 167 to 215, rush yards 114 to 65, yards per play 4.3 to 4, first downs 18 to 18. About even on third downs. Total plays 70 to 65 in favor of Illinois. Punts 8 to 5. Iowa did have 6 penalties. So did Illinois. Now, I did want to say it's very interesting. And this is why, I think you should think twice about yelling at officials, because on the video, during the game, the offsides that they called on the Addison Ostrenga touchdown, I rewatched it multiple times. From our angle, it looked fine. But ultimately, the refs have the best angle, and they do. It is a real thing that they see something that you simply cannot. Angles do matter when it comes to viewing what is going on in the field. So, but it didn't matter. Iowa got the tub. 33-26 as far as time of possession. Really quickly, guys, we'll look at the Big Ten West scores as we always do. Or Big Ten scores, really. Ohio State crushed Minnesota. Michigan hung on against Maryland. Going to be a huge showdown next week against Ohio State. Ohio State against Michigan. Penn State with the 27-6 victory over Rutgers. Very similar victory that as the Hawkeyes had over them. Michigan State defeated Indiana. Well, let's see here. Sometimes Google does weird things. Nebraska is currently up 14-0 on Wisconsin. This is not doing what I would like it to do. Let's just do ESPN. Nebraska up 14-0 over Wisconsin, and they are marching. They are in Wisconsin territory right now. Ohio State 37-3 victory over Minnesota. We talked about Michigan and Penn State versus Rutgers and Maryland. Iowa with the victory over Illinois, and Northwestern with the victory over Purdue. I mean, Northwestern has been the biggest surprise in the Big Ten. And this is why I always say you cannot judge what a schedule is before the season starts, because you just don't know what teams are going to be or not going to be when the season starts. I mean, Northwestern may finish second in the Big Ten, guys, in the Big Ten West. They might. It's going to be between them and Nebraska, assuming Nebraska is able to hold on against Wisconsin. Definitely an interesting first year for Luke Fickell. But as I said in my season preview, the Big Ten is a different animal than winning at Cincinnati. I mean, the week in, week out competition is just on a different level. So that is it, guys. Iowa Hawkeyes, Big Ten West champs, still have a very important one against Nebraska next week. I really don't want Iowa to lose to Nebraska. They got the new head coach. They stole the Big Ten championship game from Iowa last year in their defeat over the Hawks. Terrible loss for Iowa. I would love for Iowa to finish the regular season with 10 wins and really shoot for 11 wins. You look at the Iowa Hawkeyes over the last 6-7 years, and it has been, regardless of the offense, it has been pretty good, guys. And as an Iowa fan, I'm glad to admit that. I'm more than gratified to admit that. We really have had it, for the most part, really good as Iowa fans when it comes to basketball, football, wrestling, baseball. Iowa athletics is doing really good of late. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to smash that subscribe button. We're on our way to 2,000 subs. At the very least, like, comment, share. You guys know the drill. If you guys want to donate to the channel, you guys absolutely can. And last but not least, DBAP, don't be a pussy willow. Facts or feelings, because your feelings just don't matter. Love you guys. See you guys next time. Hawks, Big Ten West champions. See you later.